What's up, everybody? Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com, coming to you on Thursday, November 4th, almost 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Let's talk some Week 10 bets and ball games. I'm going against the big-time trend in the Texas A&M Auburn rivalry since A&M joined the conference in 2012, SEC conference, obviously. The road team in this series is 8-1 straight up and 8-0-1 against the spread. Auburn has won all four meetings at Kyle Field in College Station, going 3-0-1 against the spread. I'm going against that trend, and I normally don't. I'm normally on the road team in this series. But A&M has had 2 weeks to prepare. Auburn is coming off a really hard-fought 31-20 win against Ole Miss, which was, Auburn was in control of the game, but I still think it was a bit of a misleading final. Lane Kiffin passed on two short field goals, which, on 4th and 2 or 3 or fewer would be understandable, but I think both of them were 4th and at least 6, maybe even a touch more on one of them. I know one of them was 4th and 6. If he takes field goals there, we really don't know how the game plays out. But look, Auburn's playing well also, but A&M, 2 weeks to prepare at home. They've won 3 in a row, both straight up and against the spread. They've got wide receiver Caleb Chapman back now. They've had this 2 weeks to prepare for Auburn, get healthy. Chapman get more healthy. They've got those stud running backs. They, needed a break for a week, and Tank Bigsby didn't get that, nor did the stud little freshman scat back that I love, whose name is flipping eluding me for some reason right now. Charquez Hunter, I knew that. Stud speedster. Oh my gosh! And I was watching the SEC in 60 because I was mainly tuned into Ohio State, Penn State, and what was the other game during that time slot? What's the other night game last week in that time slot? Anyway, shooting a blank. I got myself all out of sorts when I was trying to think of that. Okay, so back to the Aggies. BetMGM still has it at 4. Most other books are 4.5. I consider 4 a key number, like 3, 7, 10, 14, etc. So let's buy that half point to 4 if you need to, if your number isn't 4. A&M, after the Bama win, they were up 41-0 on South Carolina 2 weeks ago, had them in the first quarter, first half. He even had them in the game as well. And then, in that vintage letdown scenario, they handled Mizzou. So I'm going to go with A&M -4, hoping that the road team trend in this rivalry does not continue. All right, let's fade the semis. NC State is only laying 2.5 at FSU. The Wolfpack 6-2 straight up, 5-3 against the spread. They've won 5 of their last 6 games. Only setback during that stretch, 31-30 loss at Miami, which didn't look good initially. But now that the Canes have this Tyler Van Dyke kid just lighting it up, and they won, outright at a very hot Pitt team, with that now being the case, that NC State loss doesn't look nearly as bad as it did at the moment. And Devin Leary, the quarterback for NC State, is just having a hell of a year. 21-2 touchdown interception ratio. A pair of rushing touchdowns as well, 66.1 completion percentage. And NC State, they bounced back from the loss at Miami. They beat Louisville 28-13 as a 6-point home favorite. And during this 5-1 stretch, they've won every game by at least 6 points. Now, the game with Clemson did go to OT and was obviously tied at the end of regulation. But 3 of the wins have been by double-digit margins. NC State's defense, 6th nationally in scoring D, give up only 16.3 points per game. They're 16th in the country in run defense. That's FSU's offense's bread and butter with Jashawn Corbin. And FSU's only 2-3, both straight up and against the spread at home. But one of the wins, and obviously a spread cover too, was against lowly UMass. So I am going with NC State. I'm also going to go with UTEP plus 11 at home to undefeated UTSA. So the Miners are 6-2, both straight up and against the spread. Now they needed a backdoor cover at FAU last week as 11.5-point dogs. They lose 28-25, but they did get 2 touchdowns late, but they had outplayed FAU, and they had an 18-12 advantage in first downs, a 443-280 advantage in total yards, and it was either 2 or 3 fourth down conversions that they failed on. That was their big bugaboo last week. And the Miners are 3-1 against the spread with 2 outright wins and 4 underdog spots this year. They're 8th in the nation in total defense, 11th versus the run, which is crucial going up against UTSA's stud running back, Sincere McCormick. Great name. Let's also go with Mississippi State plus 5 at Arkansas. I think it's a toss-up game who wins outright. Kind of like I thought Sparty-Michigan was a toss-up game. So if one team's getting more than a field goal, then all about it. Now, Sparty was at home last week, but and Mississippi State's on the road. But Mike Leach teams, obviously going back to his Washington State days, are 21-10 against the spread. Their last 31 as road underdogs. 31-17 home win over Kentucky last week. Kentucky got out to a 10-0 lead. They had gotten a first quarter 74-yard punt return for a touchdown by Josh Ali. So when they got UK got another touchdown with about 8 or 9 minutes left, about midish fourth quarter. So for 3 quarters and change, Kentucky's offense had only produced 3 points, obviously getting the special teams touchdown. And UK only had 216 yards of total offense last week. Mississippi State 2-1, both straight up and against the spread on the road this year, but the road loss and non-spread cover was a 31-29 setback at Memphis, which was total nonsense. Memphis had 2 players on the field wearing the same number, which is an automatic flag, and Mississippi State downed the punt, and yet replay officials did not reverse anything, even though replays clearly showed the Mississippi State had downed the ball, and then the guy picks it up. Everybody thinks the play's dead. The guy picks it up and runs like 95-ish yards for a touchdown. Never should have happened. So basically, Mississippi State should be undefeated on the road this year, and that does include a 26-22 win at Texas A&M the week before they played Bama, and we know what they've done since then. Will Rogers for MSU, Hail State, whatever you want to call them, brilliant last week against a quality Kentucky defense. 36-39, 344 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. I like Mississippi State plus 5 in Fayetteville. This will be out. So I also like UL Lafayette minus 7 in the first half tonight against Georgia State, and I'm also on them a little bit, minus 13 for the game, or it was at last look. Actually, I got it right here. Let's see. Ooh, looks like it's, still 13 at the Westgate, 13.5 at other books. But I mostly like it in the first half. UL Lafayette has lost 7 in a row. I know they haven't been good as a double-digit favorite, but they were last week, and their last 3 home wins have come by margins of 35, granted to Ohio, which is 2-7. But one of them was to App State by 28, 41-13. And then last week, 45 zip over Texas State. We got the quarterback advantage. Levi Lewis having an outstanding year. The running backs for Billy Napier, Chris Smith, Montrell Johnson, they've combined for over 1,100 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns. Johnson averages 6.0 yards per carry. Smith 6.3 yards per pop. So I like the Ragin' Cajuns tonight, but mostly in the first half. A couple of just ATS factoids for you here. Syracuse is the nation's best ATS team, 8-1 spread record. And then there's UTSA, who I'm going against, is 7-1. But remember, I said UTEP 6-2 against the spread. And then Michigan State is 6-0-2 against the spread, Bowling Green is 7-2 to the number, and the following schools have 6-2 against the spread marks. UTEP, as I've said, New Mexico State, Georgia, Okie State, Nevada, Michigan, Baylor, Pitt, and Kentucky. The best over teams in America. All these squads have 6-2 records to the over. Nevada, Pitt, ULM, Utah, give me two, UCF, Tulane, and Mizzou. Mizzou, longest ATS losing streak active in the country, 0-13, and they're 0-8 against the spread going in to Georgia. But Connor Bazelak, I haven't seen an update on him in the last 24 hours. He left last week's game and did not return. Early in the week it was iffy. I'm not sure. Look, you don't want to back Missouri anyway, and I probably don't want to lay 38.5 points. That's a pass for me. Okay, the best under teams in America with 7-1 records. UL Lafayette, which is in action tonight. Southern Miss, Washington, Purdue, and Illinois. And a couple injury notes. Anthony Richardson questionable for the Gators. Tanner McPhee questionable for Stanford. On the bright side for the Cardinal, Michael Wilson, 19 catches, 261 yards, 1 touchdown, and remember only 6 games last year. Or Stanford played 6 games. I'm assuming he played all 6. He's going to make his season debut. Been banged up since August. And Wazoo's off this week, but they have covered in 6 straight. I'm Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com, Week 10. Best of luck on your bets and ball games. I'm out.